What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. You'll notice that we have a little bit of a different setting today, which is okay. Sometimes we need to switch it up a little bit. You know, when you have something to say and you have to be authentic and just come out properly, it's best to do it in an authentic setting, and this is going to be as authentic as it gets. So, welcome back to My Political Truth. My name is Jerry Tomchinsky, and I hope you all had a great weekend. Sorry I missed you guys yesterday. I had some stuff going on, but no worries, I'm back, and we got a lot to discuss today. Oh boy. So things are really beginning to rev up with the campaign race, with the presidential race and the campaigns, and with Joe Biden leaving his bunker and all the rest of it. And that's all great and wonderful. I could do without the lying and without the nonsense, but we'll get to Joe in a minute. There's other things that I'd like to touch on first. And, it's becoming downright offensive as an American citizen to see how we're being lied to, and not just by other politicians, and not just by candidates and whatever the case, and not just by Joe Biden, not just by Kamala Harris, not just by AOC. There's a lot of people. This is a conspiracy of epic proportions, and I have absolutely no doubt about that. This is a conspiracy. This is all a plan, and they will only, hey Aaron, welcome. They'll only discuss what benefits them and what helps them, and by them I mean the Democrats. One thing I haven't heard, I'm going to give you guys two numbers right now. 177, that's the first number, and the second number is 72%. Now, if you guys don't know what those numbers are, 177 is the amount of police officers, of law enforcement in total, that have been killed in the United States so far this year to this point. That's a 72% increase through the same time last year. How that's acceptable, how that's not talked about, how that's not important is beyond me. And the narrative is being dictated by these people, and we literally have to just go with it. And they think that we're stupid. And the reason that it's going so unsuccessfully is, for us, seemingly, is because there are not enough news outlets, media outlets that are reporting the truth. I mean, listen, Joe Biden comes on yesterday and gives this stupid, ridiculous speech. Hi, Mom. From Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh. And I have never seen, and I've seen a lot of political speeches over the last 3 months, I have never seen a person lie so much. Joe Biden actually had the audacity, had the gall to say that the violence in these cities is President Trump's fault. He said, this is President Trump's America. Okay, let's dissect that for a minute, because we have a brain. So, New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio. New York State, Governor Cuomo. Chicago, Democrat Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Seattle, Democrat Mayor Jenny Durkin. Portland, Democrat Mayor Ted Wheeler. Atlanta, Georgia, what's her name? I forgot her name. Whatever. Oh, Lance Bottoms, or whatever the hell her name is. Every single city that has these domestic terrorist riots going on right now is run by Democrats. So the fact that he could stand there and say that it's Donald Trump's America, for anybody that believes Joe Biden, you can have him, because you are probably the same people wearing your mask in your car driving by yourself. So it's all understood. You're the reason that there needs to be instructions on shampoo bottles, and you're also the reason that at the urinals, above the urinal, it says don't eat the big white mint. So if that's what you want to believe, that's what you believe, and you can keep Joe Biden. Joe Biden is an embarrassment. I want to ask this. Joe Biden was second fiddle to Barry for 8 years. I want to know, and keep in mind, Barack Obama, Barry, is from Chicago, allegedly. Chicago, Hawaii, I've heard so many different things, the Middle East, God knows where. So he's allegedly from Chicago. That's where he was a community coordinator before he became president. Whatever. 8 years he's in office. There wasn't a single period in that 8 years that didn't have a outlandish amount of murders in Chicago through a weekend or a week. It was the same situation. Not only did Obama and Biden not do anything about it, they didn't mention it whatsoever. So Biden wants to come on and say that he's going to do this. He's going to stop the violence. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Joe, if you can do all these things, why haven't you done them in 50 years? 50 years. And now, all of a sudden, because Don Lemon comes out on CNN and says that, the Democrats need to say something about this violence because it's affecting our polls. Not because it's affecting our citizens. It's affecting our polls. That's what's concerning to Don Lemon and the communists over at CNN. It doesn't matter that people are getting killed. Literally killed. A Trump supporter got killed in Oregon, in Portland, the other day. Nobody cares. He's the bad guy, right? When they shot him, they have it on camera as clear as day. We got another Trumper here. That's what this guy says. And I have yet to hear these people condemned on these mainstream liberal rags. Communist News Network, MSDNC, all the rest of it. I have not seen any single person condemn this murder. But Kyle Rittenhouse, who was defending himself, and if you think I'm racist for saying it, you can go that way. I don't care. He got hit with a skateboard in the head twice and had a gun pointed at him before he pulled the trigger. So let me ask you this. If you're getting attacked by two different people, both of which have weapons, and you have a gun, what are you going to do? I asked somebody this yesterday. A black friend of mine on Facebook posted a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse and says, quote, "This MF should die slowly." So in the comments, I posted, okay, so if you don't know the real story, I said to him, here's the real story. And I asked him, the last question I asked, if you were getting attacked, hey Lucy, if you were getting attacked by two different people, one wailing a skateboard at your head and the other one has a gun cocked, and you have a gun, what would you do? That was a little over 24 hours ago. I'm still waiting for him to come back at me with an answer. because there's no answer. There's no answer other than it was a justified shooting. And it'll come out in time. It'll all come out. When all of this garbage calms down on November 4th, the truth is going to come out. And I'm going to tell you this right now. President Trump is very, very close to activating the Insurrection Act. And I promise you, the second that he does that, these streets will get cleaned up immediately. And, you know, I say that I don't see anybody condemning these people, condemning this violence. It's even one step further. If you recall, and I don't really care about timelines here because this all plays into what's going on now. That disgusting savage senator from California, they're all from California, but Maxine Waters, this disgusting half-dead animal, was giving I guess, whatever it was, a talk, a speech to her psychotic followers in San Francisco. I think there was a crowd of 27. And she said that in this video everywhere, you can verify this, Google it, Bing it, whatever you want to do. She said, when you see Trump supporters, this is a quote, when you see Trump supporters out in public, harass them, annoy them, attack them, make it hard for them to go on with what they're doing. This is what they're saying. And I'm expecting them to condemn this. This is all rhetorical. They're not going to condemn it. They went an entire week of the Democrat National Convention without mentioning this violence one time. One time. Follow the timeline here. The Democrat National Convention was 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 weeks ago. Every single day you had X amount of speakers. What was it? Between 8 and 12 speakers a night? Okay. Not a single day did anybody say that they condemn this violence is wrong, that the violence should be stopped, that there's no reason for it, that nothing. Then, a couple of days after, like I said at the beginning of this video, Don Lemon is on with Fredo Cuomo, and he says on CNN that this violence and the fact that the Dems are not talking about it is affecting their poll numbers. Only then did Joe get a camera down to his basement and made some I'm sorry, but I gotta say, a half-assed attempt at empathy and understanding and condemnation. And none of it came across. Did it come across as genuine to any of you guys? I know a bunch of you saw it. Did anybody think that what Biden said was genuine in the least? In the least? How could they think that people with common sense are going to believe them when just a couple of weeks ago, Kamala Harris posted on Twitter asking people to chip in to a fund that she created called the MFF, the Minneapolis, I could give you a different meaning for those letters, but it's the Minneapolis Freedom Fund. That's what they called it, right? And it was designed to bail out these rioting terroristic savages from jail after they got arrested for burning down their city in Minneapolis. And she started this Minneapolis Freedom Fund to asking people to chip in. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Is that a joke? Now, the Democrats and their supporters, and yes, I say their supporters, they're living in an alternate universe. Forget about upside down universe. They're living in an alternate universe where consequences don't exist, that lies are truth, and that violence isn't really violence. Let me tell you something. If and when President Trump invokes the Insurrection Act, you are going to see crying and yelling and debauchery, even worse than you're seeing it now. But the difference is they're going to be brought up on charges and prosecuted. So the mayor of Seattle, Jenny Durkin, actually had the audacity the other day to go on CNN and debunk the stories, the videos, the visual proof of violence going on in that city ever since the Chaz, whatever they called it, the Summer of Love Zone, saying that when President Trump talks about the violence in Seattle and that the Democrat mayor has lost control, she said that is all nonsense and it's all untrue. Meanwhile, 2 teenagers were murdered in cold blood. One of them, Horace Lorenzo Jr., I'm sure you guys know who he is. His father was the guy on Hannity, crying hysterically, confused, because he was one of the people that supported all of these Democrats for all these years. And do you think any of them, not the police commissioner, not the mayor, and the police chief has since resigned, Carmen Best. She's since resigned. But I promise you, she didn't reach out because she was given an order not to. If you guys don't know, the police chiefs and the commissioners work for the mayors. So if the mayor says you do this, it's either you do that or you risk losing your job. Well, Carmen Best should have just done what she thought was right at that time anyway, because she's not in that position anymore anyhow. So Jenny Durkin said that President Trump is making all this up and he's exaggerating and that it was mostly peaceful. If I hear that term mostly peaceful one more time, I might actually throw my TV out the window. This reporter, black gentleman, forget his name because it's not important. He's a CNN reporter, so we know he's not going anywhere and he has no credibility. He was in Portland the other day, right? And he's reporting and he's got a gas mask around his neck and the building behind him is burning. And he said, outside for a couple of incidences, it's been a mostly peaceful protest with the building burning behind him. Did he not know that the building was burning behind him? How do you go on TV and say some nonsense like that? How do you think that that's an okay thing to do? Our friend AA Nancy Pelosi was asked if she thought that the rioting and the pulling down of statues and all of the nonsense was acceptable. And she said, and I quote, "People will do what they do. People will do what they do." A little bit before I came on, somebody sent me a news article, and it showed Nancy walking around a hair salon in San Francisco with no mask on. This is a video camera in the salon that took this video. So the hypocrisy doesn't end. It continues. Nancy and the rest of the Democrats are all about do as I say, not as I do. And if you guys still think that the masks were about your own protection, you got another thing coming to you. It was an experiment to see how far people can be pushed and who the problem people are. And this is all a complete farce. And listen, yesterday the CDC, or was it the day before? No, it was yesterday. The CDC came out and adjusted somewhat the numbers, and 94% of those who died from COVID-19 apparently had at least one pre-existing health issue, such as high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, something like that, right? So today, the Democrat puppet Fauci comes on, and he says that the 180,000 plus coronavirus deaths aren't exaggerated, and that whoever reported this, I was reading this article, it said that whoever reported it said, I'll quote it, I'm sorry. It said, "This had led some to suggest that only 9,000 people in the U.S. have died of the infection and not the official figure of more than 183,000. It's not leading some to suggest. It was the CDC that said it. It was on their website. It's not leading some to suggest. This is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of reporting that goes on. This has led some to suggest that only 9,000 people in the U.S. No, it's not some. It's the CDC. The people that you, Democrats, have claimed that we need to worship like the Bible ever since COVID-19 has impacted our cities. So now, instead of going along with what the CDC says, whoa, it doesn't fit their narrative now. So now it has led some to say, it's a joke. Anthony Fauci is a joke. Anybody that listens to him is a joke. He was even asked, is your relationship okay with President Trump? He said, oh yeah, me and President Trump have a great relationship. No, they don't. President Trump thinks he's an idiot. I think he's an idiot. Anybody that claims to be a doctor and hasn't seen a patient in almost half a century, sorry, no doctor. You're an opinion maker. You're an opinion maker at best. And your opinions are stupid. So he's not a doctor. Yeah, maybe he got that little degree, but think about it. If he's been a doctor for half a century, right? So we think back half a century, that's 1970 or 70-ish. He finished medical school. Do you not think there have been advancements and things have gotten better? And I think the only way that a true doctor gets to see all this stuff firsthand is by actually practicing. That's why they call it a practice, folks. It's not because they go in the office and practice being a doctor. It's because they have a practice, and that practice makes it possible for them to be better for the future and for other patients, and to take on diseases such as this that are not familiar to our country, to our people, to our medical board, and has absolutely no precedent of dealing with. But, the Democrats say, if you put them into office, they'll get rid of the coronavirus. Joe Biden knows how to eliminate the coronavirus. Joe, if you know and you care about the citizens so much, why don't you call President Trump and tell him, hey, Don, listen, I don't like you, you don't like me, but this is about the citizens. I know how to fix this. This is what you do. He don't know nothing. He does not know anything. All he knows is how to read a script that some high school grad intern wrote for him. That's it. It's a script. It's not a speech. It's not a talking to. It's not a conversation. It's not a dialogue. It's not an interview. It's a little bit more than an essay. I mean, compare President Trump's acceptance speech to Joe's. President Trump spoke for over 70 minutes. I think it was 71 and change. Joe Biden spoke for 24 minutes. You want to know why? Because there was no meat in what Joe Biden said. How can anything take up time when somebody comes on and says, well, I'm going to do this, and that, but he's not telling you how he's going to do it. He's not taking any questions, because I think any journalist in their right mind, and I know there's always at least one that has some semblance of common sense, will raise their hand and say, well, Joe, if you know how to solve all these problems, why didn't you over the last 50 years, particularly over your 8 years when you were number 2 in the country? I mean, and he had the gall to say, we didn't have these kind of riots, these kind of protests when Barack was in office. No? Did you forget about Freddie Gray? Did you forget about Michael Brown? And what they did, and this is how this division started with Barack Obama and Joe Biden. As soon as something would happen, again, like the police, let's take Michael Brown's situation, the Derek Wilson, Michael Brown thing. Officer Derek Wilson shot Michael Brown dead, and President Obama at the time, right away, before any due process, before he found out the details, went on national TV and addressed the nation and condemned the shooting without knowing the details. And what happened after? You got riots in Missouri. I remember they had protests in New York. They were walking on the West Side Highway, blocking traffic. And he wants to say that this stuff didn't happen? I watched it happen. You watched it happen. Joe Biden is a joke. He can't be taken seriously. He shouldn't be taken seriously. The mainstream media is a joke. They shouldn't be taken seriously. And I don't know what else there is to say. And now we got this. This is the best right here. So Breonna Taylor, you guys all know her, right? And her name's been in the news a lot lately because of the what happened with Rand Paul on the last night of the RNC last week, when him and his wife were attacked, and they were saying, say her name, say her name. They meant Breonna Taylor. And again, these half-bright protesters who are supposedly educated, they're not. When you go to a college and the professors give you their opinion and not a curriculum, you're not educated at all. That's not an education. So they were saying, say her name, not knowing that Rand Paul is the author of the Breonna Taylor law to eliminate no-knock warrants in the country. So anyway, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend is suing the Louisville Police Department, claiming he's the victim of police misconduct as he seeks to avoid prosecution for firing a shot that wounded a cop the night Breonna was shot. That's why Breonna Taylor was shot. Do you guys not know that? They're making it seem and vilify and demonize and devilize these officers. But Breonna Taylor's boyfriend shot at the cops. They shot back. It's his fault. He shouldn't have put his girlfriend in that danger. I'm sorry, but I would never put my wife in that position. I don't think any man in it worth his salt would put his significant other in a position like that. And they want to blame the cops. It wouldn't happen to be the thug you have sleeping next to you, flipping keys of cocaine in your city, and the cops know it. It wouldn't be his fault, no? My God, he just got arrested the other day for drug trafficking. Just the other day. Did you hear that anywhere? I don't think so, because I didn't. I didn't. I mean, I know about it because I hear I look for these things, but when I say, did you hear about it? You didn't see it on the news. Unless you watch Fox and One America religiously, you didn't hear it. You didn't hear about it. Guys, thank you for joining me again. I'll be back tomorrow night. We'll get back into current events and the happenings of the day. Yeah, let's see what happens between now and tomorrow night, because it seems like every 24 hours there's some other form of nonsense and clowning and complete jokingness and lies that happen. And just when I think it can't get any worse or any funnier or any more comical, it does. And it slips my mind that we're dealing with the Democrat Party, and they're going to get more and more outlandish the closer we get to the election. Did you guys get that Facebook update today that as of October 1st, they're going to be changing their community standards? Do you know that? You know what that's for? That's for pages like mine, the Hodge twins, anybody that leans right. Doesn't matter whether you're big or small like me, doesn't matter. If you lean right, you're going to get shut down. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think Facebook already, or at least temporarily, shut down the Hodge twins because they said they violated their community standards. And when they say that, it means that you told the truth and they don't want the truth getting out. That's what violating community standards mean. I mean, that's the only thing I could see, because the only thing I've been violated for is for posting the truth. I just posted right before I came on. I got fact checked and said that what I posted was partly false. Partly false. And you know who the fact checker was? You sitting down for this? USA Today. And on that note, I'm going to end this. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you for joining me. Love you guys. Have a good night.